George Horse Yoshinaga was a longtime columnist for the Rafu Shimpo, a bilingual Japanese-English language newspaper based in the Little Tokyo neighborhood of Los Angeles, California. It is the longest-running Japanese-American daily newspaper in the United States. Through his column, The Horse's Mouth, Yoshinaga engaged and entertained generations of Japanese Americans, serving as an outspoken commentator on issues in the community, voicing the thoughts, opinions, and interests of many of his fellow Nisei, second-generation Japanese Americans. Heart Mountain was the name of the camp in Wyoming. The incarcerates themselves kept heart, dealing with a life-changing circumstance. Many took it all in stride as they tried to survive in their new surroundings. George Horse Yoshinaga and his family were sent to Heart Mountain. Before their arrival in Wyoming, they were incarcerated at the Santa Anita Detention Center. Here, he would befriend Tamotsu, Barbed, Nomura, and they would run around the track. This is how Yoshinaga ultimately gained his nickname.
You know, being of that age, nothing to do, I used to run around the track every morning for exercise, and then the people would be standing around and start calling me, or they start asking me, "You think you're a horse?" And then that's how his name stuck. Here's a horse.
Yoshinaga and Nomura would form and play on the Heart Mountain Eagles, the camp's high school football team. Yoshinaga recalled that his team was allowed to play Caucasian teams from nearby towns only if they came to Heart Mountain.
They probably couldn't play their best game because they would come to camp and the fans circling the field were all Japanese faces. They couldn't imagine that we know how to play football because most of the people thought that we were really Japanese. You know, they were totally amazed that. Geez, I didn't know Japanese knew how to play football.
The team would only lose one game in 2 years. He got his start in journalism as a reporter for the camp newspaper, the Heart Mountain Sentinel, where he covered the sports beat and began a column called Crossroads. It would be the beginning of a 70-year career in journalism.
Well, I started in camp, but it wasn't the Horse's Mouth then. It was after I started at Crossroads, and then I just used my name then, but then there was a guy named Masamori Kojima who was a publisher, and he said, why don't we use your nickname? And at that time, I think there was a book called The Horse's Mouth. So there was a little problem that it was illegal for me to use that when there was someone who wrote a book with the title Horse's Mouth. But then we started it and nobody said anything, so it's just continued for all these years.
From camp, he joined the Army's segregated unit, the 442nd, where he was recruited as a member of the Army's Counterintelligence Corps. Yoshinaga served in the Military Intelligence Service during the U.S. occupation of Japan. They were assigned to interrogate former Japanese military officers taken into custody and considered to be on the wanted list by the U.S. Army. They captured a high-ranking naval officer who allegedly was part of the Pearl Harbor attack and turned him over to the proper Occupational Forces Department in Osaka, Japan.
So the thing was, when I got to CIC school in Maryland, the first test they gave us was in Japanese. That's when the fun started. CIC was more, we were classified as agents. We were more involved in intelligence work, like captured documents, information on the deployment of Japanese troops.
After the war, Yoshinaga got involved in sports management and created and produced the Japan Bowl, a college all-star football game which was a week after the Hula Bowl in Japan. In the early 1960s, he also went to Japan to work with Rikidozan, a professional sumo wrestler, and was the first person to bring sumo to the U.S. in 1977.
Yeah, well, there were Japanese were watching or taping some of the American football games, and then the Japan Times said that they wanted to put on a game between two American teams, but no American colleges was interested in a team. So then next talk was, what about an all-star game? So they asked me to travel to the U.S. and go to NCAA and see if it was possible to put on such a game. And at first they said, no, we don't have all-star games in foreign countries. But finally, after much discussion, they agreed to do it.
Among his many community endeavors, Yoshinaga worked to preserve the memory of the Santa Anita Detention Center. For many years, he organized reunions for Japanese Americans who remember their time living in the horse stables. And he was also instrumental in securing the installation of a plaque at the racetrack honoring the incarcerates.
So when 6 years ago, when they started putting up different, I guess you call them monuments, to different assembly centers, Santa Anita was the largest one, and yet they wouldn't put anything up. So I went to the racetrack and talked to the people there. They said, no, the racetrack is a fun place, and we don't want to put anything up that'll remind people of it. So I said, it's part of your history, that we lived on your property, but they continue to refuse. So one of my close friends is a supervisor in Los Angeles County, and Arcadia was within his territory, so his name is Mike Antonovich. So I went to him, I said, Mike, I'm trying to get this so people will know that this was part of it. So he got on the case, and we went to talk to the mayor of Arcadia, and so finally the racetrack said, okay, compose the words that you want on the plaque and we'll put it up. So it's there now. Yeah, it's simple. It just says, during the war, the Santa Anita racetrack was used as a housing, they didn't call it a evacuation assembly center, as housing for Japanese Americans. And they gave the 18,000 resided here until they were permanently moved inland. That's all it says. But at least people that go there to visit will always stand in front and have pictures taken of it.